Thanks, Ciarán Comhairle. Taoiseach, COVID hasn't gone away, unfortunately. You look at the case numbers, you look at the hospital numbers, you look at the number of people who are tragically dying on a weekly basis. But the government is acting as if COVID is just gone away. The government is acting to remove supports from people, a number of different supports, from the 1st of July. So this Friday, for example, long COVID leave or special leave with pay is ending. People still have COVID, still suffering the effects of long COVID, but the government is withdrawing that support. The government has still refused to recognise long COVID as an occupational injury. And thirdly, in education, a circular has gone out from the Department of Education saying that very high-risk individuals are no longer to be facilitated working remotely from the 1st of July, but will have to return to the workplace regardless of the fact that they're recognised as very high risk. Will you act, Taoiseach, to stop these very regressive moves, recognise long COVID as an occupational injury, and don't force people back in unsafe conditions to the workplace?
Housing doesn't come across in terms of, and there's a reason, and if you read the dashboard, it goes through the issues in relation to housing, because the indicators say that Ireland comes out relatively well in terms of trend over time and international comparisons, but that has to be put in context in terms of data availability and demand. So that's far more nuanced. So in other words, new dwelling completions have been increasing consistently over the last 7 years, and they will increase more substantially again. But we need to be closer to, however, to 33,000 a year. One of the big issues in housing that people have referenced, the current situation in emergency accommodation, is the number of international asylum seekers has really gone way up beyond predictions in the last number of months. This is separate altogether now from the Ukrainian situation, and it is putting a strain on emergency accommodation that was not anticipated. If you look at the report of Catherine Day in respect of the direct provision and that, I think the estimate was around 3,500. We're well and will be well beyond that now. Could go to 9,000–12,000 before the end of the year, and that is creating its own pressures as well on. And then within the European Union, there are pressures. You can nod all you like, Deputy. You can there's other issues, and there are other pressures also, and we do need to deal with other issues then in terms of fast tracking and getting accommodation in place.
We need to move on
in any way we
to question 9.
can.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
we're out of time. Question 9, please.